sneak up on me like that? It's bad enough with those creepy noises.
What noises?
Every once in a while, there's this unbearable scream coming from that hospital. We need to see what's going on. Let's move. Let me. Picking locks is kind of my thing. Voila. Silverfish got him. They're every scavenger's nightmare. Ooh, look, this poor guy is still holding a sound decoy.
Sound decoy?
You resistance guys just shoot at everything that moves, don't you? Silverfish are sensitive to noise, so before it pops up from the ground and starts chasing, you throw a sound decoy. It'll draw any nearby silverfish away. I guess you can take it. You won't be needing it anyway. Did you hear that? That's the sound I was talking about.
I don't think you should go any further.
And what about you?
I have to go. That could be the resistance.
I understand. Stupid asking you this, but Aaron wanted me to find some antibiotics for Mark. I know I'm not making it easy on you, but if you're in there and you find some cheap, we would really appreciate it.
I'll see what I can do.
And remember that your gun won't do you any good against Terminators. So when you see one, do what I do. Sneak past them. I'll be waiting for you at the hideout. Take care.
You!
I left you a hacking device. It's in the basement of a building off the main street. It will help you get inside that hospital.
Right now, you need to start answering some questions.
There will be a time for that, but right now, you need to help the people inside. As for Colin, there was nothing I could have done. It was either him or you. And it couldn't have been you.
Hello? This is it. Wonder if I could control those turrets with the hacking device. from the Resistance. The others have to be here too. us? Private Jacob Rivers, Pacific Division.
Pacific? What the hell happened up there? The whole division went silent.
It was wiped out. I'm the only one who survived, and I need to meet with Commander Barron.
All right, I'll make sure you get to do that. But first, get us out of here. Follow that staircase. It'll lead you to the main generator. Overload it and turn off the laser grid.
Understood.
And Rivers, destroying that generator will make a lot of noise. So in case we get separated, where are you stationed?
Just south from here.
Okay, we'll find you. Barron will want to meet you. Now go, and watch out for those medals.
Hi, buddy.
Not much. How about you guys?
Just kind of chill. How's your day been?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Okay. That's cool. What have you been up to?
My parents' sink needed a minor fix, which this time I did in about 20 minutes, so I felt much better about it.
All right.
Other than that, they were just with my parents.
Cool. Relatively low-key day, huh?
Yeah. By saying I spend the day with my parents, I meant I spent it with my mom because my dad just disappeared.
Gotcha. Well, that sucks. But, you know. Look, if it was a win in your book, then that's really all that matters, right?
Correct. But I feel like I've not been online much, so I'm probably not hanging out with.
That's totally okay. It's not like there's. I mean, yeah, I've been doing Helldivers, but I mean, other than that, like, there's not a lot going on. Where's the unicorn game you're talking about?
Oh, Unicorn Overlord. Demo's out right now, and like, I don't know, next week the actual game comes out.
Okay.
But because the demo's a free thing, it's not part of like games with gold or any of that stuff. It's
Gotcha. Huh.
but if you type in Unicorn, I'm sure it'll be one of the very first things that that'll show up.
Probably.
Yep, March 7th is when it releases. But yeah, as far as single player games go, a lot of really cool games coming out pretty soon. Unicorn Overlord, the one that is the last name I can never think of, like Ayu Kodin or whatever. And I found out that Suikoden 1 and 2 are going to be re-released on Xbox. But those are all solo player games, so.
Are you there?
I'm on my way out.
Good job. I can see the soldiers leaving. But don't think it's done. Skynet's sending reinforcements.
So how is the life?
800 patrol coming your way. Get some cover.
Alright, sorry about that. What were we saying?
I was just asking how well,
Oh, yeah, it's the shine of the movie kind of worn off, right? So,
yeah, that's what I wondered.
I mean, it's still damn entertaining. I'll tell you, way more than. There you go. So. Yeah, the shine is kind of the last something supposed to do. It's not that, but and it's just kind of what it is. Oh, no, that's a good game. I'm entertained by it. Other people seem to be as well, which is good. It's just a matter of letting it last longer. I really don't know.
All right, it's clear. Now all you have to do is wait for Commander Bear
It's,
to find you.
yeah, I mean, to me, this is just more of just an indication that easy is the way to go going forward.
Yeah.
So, as Game Pass, I have Game Pass for another like year and a half, so it's not going anywhere. No, obviously my Xbox isn't going anywhere, but I'm gonna be a lot more selective as to what games I choose to get on the Xbox versus the PC at this point. So. Never really has been limited to one or the other. It's just, now with more of a focus on you know, Series X is hitting the end of its life cycle, right? Yes, I understand that we're in a mid.
You were saying, Jeff?
No, it's just, you know, as we're at midpoint for this. It's just like, all right, start thinking about the future and, you know, where do I want to expand my library going forward? I think that as nice as Xbox is,
Oh, thank God, you're
they're not
finally
gonna be putting
here.
out a console that's going to
How did it go? Did you find the soldiers?
A PC.
I did. I helped them
and
escape
they're
from that
trying to sort
hospital.
of bridge that gap.
You don't give up on your people, do you?
So
I like that.
why don't I? I mean,
So what
I have
now?
a PC now. It's just like, why
They're
not just
supposed to
continue
come
on
for me
that
soon.
path?
Great. That means that you're going home? No more scavengers constantly nagging you to do things for them? I bet you like the sound of that. Oh, Erin's still up too. Go talk to her. She won't admit it, but she was just as worried as I was.
Do you need help with anything?
Is that your best pickup line? Sorry, that was a bad joke. I tend to do that when I'm stressed. I think I got it from my dad. Better that than his mustache, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Don't mind me.
What was he like?
He was a kind and hardworking man.
Anyway, yeah, I just see the
He
end
was
of
clever, too.
Destiny is
He
the
would
logical
constantly come up
conclusion
with
to
these intricate ways to
sort
get me
of
to
start
help out.
scaling back.
This one time, when I was
So,
little,
I understand.
he wanted to make a huge
know,
sign that
I'm
said "Welcome"
bummed
on
at
the
the
side
fact
of
that
our
some
house in
people,
Pasadena.
You know,
So
it's
he
gonna
said,
be a while,
I
if
bet you
ever,
can't spell that.
before they
And
transition.
of course I had to prove him wrong.
Console. I
Believe
mean,
me,
from console to
now I know
PC.
how
And
stupid
that part
it
kind of
was.
sucks, right?
Right.
You know, like, I wish it was a little more seamless.
Not at all. That was very
And
clever.
Yeah,
Maybe it will as time
he was
progresses.
always full of
you
bright
know,
ideas.
The barrier of entry
Thanks for
will
trying to make me feel
lower.
better. After Judgment Day, my dad
Oh,
turned our house
sure.
into a safe haven. A home for everyone who lost theirs. We were like a family with an
Not as
endless
long as
supply
graphic
of
cards
uncles and
are where
aunts.
they are.
Yeah.
guess
well,
my
that's-
father
that's
wanted
been
to help with the
changing
war.
last, little while too.
We never really
I mean,
used guns.
Nothing is ever going to
So
hit.
the only thing we could do was to help others
We're
in
never
need.
going to see pre-pandemic prices ever again. It's just kind of.
At this point, we're not talking about titles, we're talking about hardware.
I'm just talking about everything now at this rate. I mean, I wish things would go pre-pandemic price, but that's just not going to
Seems
happen.
like he helped a lot of people.
He did. Right till the very end.
Not until more
Anyway,
competition
it was
enters the
actually
market,
really
and I don't-
cool.
and
Everybody
I don't
loved
mean
him, and
just,
he
like,
loved having them around.
Yeah,
I
you
think
know,
it's because he always had a brand new
AMD
audience to listen to his
or,
bad
you know,
jokes.
like,
He had this really
think even,
terrible one.
like,
He'd walk
car
into the room
manufacturers
and
and
ask
stuff
if
like that,
anyone had
right?
seen his remote because his team was playing.
Yeah.
I always
I'm
laughed
looking
at
at
it. I'll never
cars this
understand
past
why.
week, and I'm like, okay, how much is it going to cost me for a car now? What would it cost?
Was he a
like,
sports fan?
I don't think so.
I don't know,
He had a jersey that he wouldn't let anyone touch.
$20,000 now costs
But
close
I
to
don't think it was a token
$40,000
of his love
for
of
the same
sports.
car,
More like a
and an
reminder of
identical
simpler times.
experience, right?
Like,
When I
yeah.
mean experience, I mean like features and functionality.
I'm sorry, you
Like,
probably have
something's
enough on
not
your
right
plate.
here.
Anyway, thanks. It's really
And
nice
there's
to
no
have someone
sign
to
of
talk to.
that going down.
Yeah.
When all the manufacturers are charging the same, where's their incentive to charge less?
There is this.
Yep.
which is what I mean. At this point, it's been half a year. But back when we talked about different people coming together to set prices, the example I used at the time was light bulbs. But they're not the only ones.
No. No, they're not. Yeah, that's what's making it challenging as a consumer. It's like, you know, there's only so much money that people have, and you know, obviously wages aren't increasing exponentially either. So what do we do? Kind of it.
Cut back. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not talking about just video games, dude. I feel like somebody who's half paying attention to the conversation. So why are you participating in this discussion? If it's my point, if you're not paying attention to what we're saying, then why are you adding your 2 cents?
No need to
anyway?
worry. I'm fine.
Who said I was worried? I've been thinking a lot
It's
about
not-
it, and if I can,
Whatever, dude.
I've decided to join the resistance. I'll do more good there than here.
I'm glad to hear that.
I just hope you're better supplied over there than we are. Speaking of which, I see you've got those antibiotics I asked for. Good. Now I can call Ryan
Anyway.
off.
I
asked
mean,
him if he brought a
maybe
shovel
someday
with him.
graphics price, graphics
If you
card
think that
prices
was too
will go
morbid.
lower than what they
He
are
said
now.
that after
Right now, they're not
Judgment Day,
bad.
digging graves
Right, and
was
I'm
one of
hoping
the
that
few things
with new
actually
models
got
coming
better
out in the
with
fall,
time.
supposedly models coming out in the fall, we'll be in a better spot to build on the existing model. Because the way the graphics card companies work, and actually some auto manufactured companies work too, is it's slight, very slight increases on features and functionalities. Like, you go from the 3000 series on the NVIDIA card versus the 4000 series, it's a 5 to maybe 10% difference. It's not a big difference. And yet the
Yeah.
price is significantly higher on some of the 4000 series. And it's just like, what? Why? There's no excuse for it to be this, that's the lowest end of the 4000 series. Yes. No, it's not. The mid is the 4070. That's, yeah. So 4060, right? You go 4060, 4070, 4080, 4090. You're talking a $1,200 graphics card, though. My point. See, this is my point. Why should anybody be expected to pay, I mean, in some cases, a fucking paycheck for one part, not even the whole computer,
Come
one
upstairs.
part
Someone here to
of the
see you.
computer. Subscription-based hardware? Fuck you.
That's the
It's-
Comcast model. That's the-
Microsoft is not doing that well. Because it's not physical. It's irrelevant as to what you think matters. Here, I'll ask you this question. Where did that take place? Well, there's a big difference. CDMAs? In what world do you see companies operating on ethics as a good form of business?
I think the opposite.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually an easy answer. That's still the person that took the photograph. Okay. So that's on you, the consumer, to make the determination on whether or not that's something you should be doing.
If they went to the subscription model you were talking about, like if they went to the subscription model you were talking about, then yes, the hardware would be theirs, and then the argument could be made. But currently, that's not the case. You buy the hardware, you own it. What you put on it is still yours.
Who says you don't own them?
No one's disagreeing with that point.
I'm not following. You're kind of all over the place, dude. I'm pretty sure it was in the UK, by the way. Either way, it's irrelevant to the way that we do business here. So, doesn't matter if it was in Canada or the UK. There's great privacy protection laws in the EU. Does that make a difference to us? Okay. Are you an EU citizen? Okay. Now, as an American citizen, does that make a fucking difference to me? Okay, so why are we having this conversation? No, this is not morality. That's the thing.
Actually, the opposite will happen. It'll get worse and worse.
Yeah.
It won't get better and better.
It's on you, the consumer, to read that and be familiar with it. All right, so I'll bold it. It'll just be very tiny bold. Like, dude, you don't understand. Like, you obviously don't understand capitalism as it is today and how it fucking works. If this is the way that you're thinking. What are you talking about? Are you serious? How many streaming services are there? So how many streaming services are there? Are those all not digital asset marketplaces? So I ask again, what the hell are you talking about? What? Take the philosophy out of it. Look at it very plainly. You never did own it. Until it's in your hands, consider the fact that you never own it. I mean, it's the whole point behind why it was stupid, the NFT, push. It's a non-fungible token, and what does that mean exactly? Nobody could fucking answer that. And what's stopping me from going and getting another picture of your, sailor ape? What's stopping me from doing it? Nothing? Great. So do you really own it then? No. Even then, you still don't really own it. Even then, you still don't own it. Exactly. You don't understand it. So you're going to try and have it. So you're going to. No. You're going to try and have a conversation. No. You're going to try and have. It's not everything's accounted for. So why am I going to sit here and try and explain blockchain to you You know, you're trying to sit here and wax philosophical on, you know, what is true ownership, dude.
So, go back to like 1600s, and you'd have people who would have a piece of parchment that said they were related to this person, who was related to this person, their whole family lineage that made them royalty. But it's just a piece of parchment. Anyone can make that, and that's all a blockchain is the claim that you have can be your what you have can be traced back through these other people. That's all the blockchain is. And unfortunately, just like a piece of parchment that you can just write up, it doesn't mean much unless you can actually track down all the other people and talk to them directly.
Let's talk about what blockchain is. Odin's right. He's right on actually from a conceptual standpoint, a pretty large portion of it. A transaction happens. Blockchain is just, you know, a place to verify that that transaction happened. So now I'm going to throw in a hypothetical to you. Let's say, hypothetically, I do my transaction. It's verified. You know, Odin's a witness, and I'm selling you a piece of gum, right? And that transaction is noted. All fine and dandy. Except it turns out that it wasn't just one piece of gum. There's supposed to be many pieces of gum, right? So, how do I fix that? I've already made the transaction in the ledger, right? In the notebook. Or Odin has already verified that transaction happened, even though that transaction was technically incorrect. You can't go back and fix that. You can't edit it. Well, so then you have what you call like a split offs. So now I have to create a brand new system of record to say, yes, in fact, these transactions happened, but the true transaction was a whole pack of gum, not one piece of gum. Now I have to convince everybody else that going forward, that is the correct ledger to use, the correct entry to use. No. No, because it was verified. So either a group of people saying that the verification that took place was incorrect, or that it was correct. And so now you have people split between one transaction and another transaction, and what to use as the source of truth going forward.
And that was actually a huge issue with Bitcoin.
Yeah. Which is built off of blockchain. So currency is not a good, place to be tracking, or, blockchain is not a good place to be tracking currency. In fact, it's quite vulnerable to a lot of transactions. It's kind of the point that's being made here. No. So when I don't know, buy an NFT, do I fucking own it? I mean, the blockchain says that I did, but who's to say that somebody else doesn't verify that? What about my vote? Because you're right, in society, we don't have nefarious people. You're operating on hypotheticals. I've already disproven. I've already proven to you why operating on hypotheticals isn't a good idea when it comes to this kind of technology. So you can either accept that as it is, or you can choose to live in a fantasy world. Yes, that's right. The
I
internet
think
was a
that's-
great. The internet was a great idea, and nothing bad ever happened with the internet, right? This
I
is
think
what your
the,
your implication your implication here. Let's just say, what if people didn't use the internet as a in a negative or villainous way? Okay, but they do. There are people out there that do those things. So, what kind of conversation are we having exactly? Here, let me ask you something. Can you tell me how things operate at GameStop? You've worked there. You've talked to people about the time you worked there and the things you did while you were there, right? Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations. You committed corporate espionage. It's irrelevant if you're still employed. Yes. If you give away trade secrets,
yeah.
yes. Yes. And if you give those away, it's technically corporate espionage. If you're giving them to another company, like a competitor. So to ask your question here, or to answer your question, I'll ask you a question. Do people ever leave Microsoft to go work at Google? How about Google going to work at Apple? I mean, since they are literally right next to each other in Palo Alto. Yes, all three of them are right next to each other. Microsoft, Google, and Apple. Microsoft, well, I'm asking you, do people that, work at one go work at the other after a period of time? If they get laid off or fired or quit? Okay, then there you go. And do you think that maybe they'll use the knowledge that they gained at those companies to go find success with their own companies or for their own careers? Or for their own careers, which would end up helping their competitive or their competition? Yes. So really, what are we talking about? It's almost as if you have the power of the internet at your fingertips to find these answers. Well, whose fucking problem is that? Why are you making it mine? I don't know. Has people at Bungie ever left to go work at Activision, or Activision employees going to work at Bungie?
And Blizzard is an example of a company that is terrible. I don't know if you've heard of him, but there's a guy named Thor who used to work for Blizzard. His dad used to work for Blizzard, and he reached a point where he just couldn't work for them anymore. He had to leave because they were just not paying him enough, right? And they tried to say that he couldn't work for any other company for like 3 years, and that wasn't in his contract or anything. But yeah, there's Blizzard's terrible about suing people for yeah.
Yes. What? But if they had ethics and morals, then it wouldn't be an issue. How do you know that? How do you know that? Yes, and yet these aren't even happening on, new age technology that you're implying, right? And they're doing it already. So what's stopping them from doing it with newer technology? Are we? Does that make it better? I mean, let me ask you something. If I get the same game, it's just better graphics, does that make the game better? Hey, if I get Vector Man and I start playing it with HD graphics, does that change the fundamentals of the game? No, it doesn't. Great. I'm glad we can come to that understanding. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna stop you right there, and I'm gonna ask you a simple question.
Good Lord, everything okay in here?
Did I ever buy any other houses since I bought that house? So I did. I did go out and buy other houses after that. Got it. We're back to the same shit. Buying a house once and then letting it fall into a state of decay is the same as playing a game from like the 90s and then going, let's give it a makeover.
What? I literally don't. I don't
None of what
understand the
you said-
comparison.
None of what you
is
said
Michael,
makes
a
sense.
house is a single thing that can be bought and sold and owned by the person who presently bought it. But you're okay. I don't understand. Are we comparing a house to a video game?
Yes,
Why?
it's a great question.
Upscaling. Wait, what? What upscaling with movies?
He's
What are you
talking-
talking about? That's the medium, Michael. That's
It
not
didn't upscale.
IP.
I could have bought a DVD and then years later I could have
The equivalent to that is
Blu-ray.
console generations. Like that's not the same. No, Michael, you're talking about different mediums. That's the like. Okay. Shh. Okay. It's not upscaling, it's stealing. There's a difference. It's not upscaling.
No.
It's
What
stealing.
hold on. What he's saying is that the developers allow for an increase in the graphics, right? That's fine.
What does that have to do with anything?
Nothing. It has absolutely nothing to do with anything.
Okay. Gordon, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. Unfortunately, I think I'm the one who started this conversation.
That's okay.
Oh, you right to it.
Which is not the place, by the way. Which is not the place for that kind of conversation. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's you can put it in the obviously you want other people to weigh in on it, but just don't have like long threaded conversations about videos when what goes in the videos channel is videos. So nothing is stopping you from creating a thread either. Oh, I'm so sorry. What are we talking about here? You're like spinning off into something else, bud. That's not workflow. That's not workflow. That's just referencing stuff. That's not workflow. I think you need to know what workflow is. Here, I'll give you an example of workflow. Okay. If you can't explain it, then why are you talking about it?
Why does it make logical sense that they will eventually interact?
But Adobe is something. Adobe's a totally different company. So you mean I have to buy the? So you mean I have to buy the shit from Adobe? So you mean to say that I need to? That's just changing the fucking file types. You know, again, everything you're saying doesn't make sense. No, I've seen the content you posted. That's who is weighing in here. This is almost entirely a you and I conversation. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Yeah, I'm just here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, dude. Let me know when you're done with your pity party here, dude. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I've seen the first video. I've seen it a while ago. Is it the same? Where you're taking the graphics from and digital assets from another game and applying it to, upscale? Okay, and what did they do in that live stream? So it's a tutorial. Okay. And does it explain what it does?
Wow.
Okay. And do what with it?
Pretend that you have talent.
And it's not even just that. Like, this is the part that I'm failing to understand is how is that any different than the other video that you showed? I know I sound aggressive, man. I'm just challenging you on this because I'm trying to understand two things. One, the application for it for people like you and I, right? We are not game developers, right? So how number one, how does this apply to us? And number two, how does this benefit us? I'm not a mod, and neither are you. And we already talked about, mods places, and we already talked about mods places in gaming communities. They exist, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they do not. Yes, all of those assets are owned by Valve. They deliberately created something so that people could go in there. It's the same thing as like saying, "Hey, let's go to Mario Maker." It's the same fucking thing, dude. Not. Yes, they violated copyright, and I guarantee you, it was only. Yes, and I guarantee you that if you could not log back into the same Helm seat today. Do they? Do they have Helm's Deep in Counter-Strike? No. I'm asking you. I guarantee you that they don't exist anymore. And if they did create those, they created them using the pre-existing assets. There's a big difference. How is that? How is that? I'm gonna hold you back to the two questions. I'm gonna hold you back to the original questions. How is that relevant to us, and why should I care? Okay. Okay. And why should I care?
I think, Michael, I think that you're falling victim to a lot of bullshit marketing, quite frankly. Marketing that is pretending that it is aimed at lay people, consumers like us, when in fact they just want to get a bunch of dummies on the hype train to give corporations permission to do whatever the fuck they want, which is essentially eliminate jobs in the creative space. Okay. Wait, what? Oh, what?
I don't know what that has to do with anything, but okay.
Okay. Okay. No, you don't just get to call something something it's not, Michael. And proper terminology is important. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so it took pre-existing
again-
content and just redid it.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I don't understand. Are you trying to counter my point or prove my point? I'm really confused about your angle here. Okay. Okay.
And you're saying
There's
this is
a
a
big
good
difference though. There's a big difference though between. Okay. Sure, but those assets were created by a human person at some point in history, right? Why do you think? Okay, Michael, I'm going to say something to you and I want you to listen to me very closely because I've said this before. The only reason art fucking matters is because a human being made it. Period. That is the only thing that gives art value. That is the reason that we look at cave paintings that our 2-year-olds could make and think, wow, that's incredible. Because it ties us to humans from millions of years ago, even though the art itself is not impressive. Contextually it is, but objectively it's not. That is art. And AI doesn't improve anything. Because when an AI makes it, it ceases to be art. Period. Okay. What? Yeah. Okay. 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 Are you trying to say the AI itself is a piece of art? Oh, just answer the fucking question, my dude. Why? Why is AI itself art? What makes AI art? Everything that we touch. I have a box of Kleenex here that was technically created by a human. Does that make it art?
It has art on the cover.
It has a design, sure, yeah.
That's art. That's art. Don't take that from me.
Okay. I don't know. It's Arcade Fire. Who the fuck cares?
Fair point.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm talking about
I'm
general
going to make.
AI.
Not, but
Yeah, I'm
but
going to make
hold
a
on.
point to your point. Okay.
No, not generative.
Yeah.
And the point I'm going to make is actually quite simple. Art, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder. For some people, a lot can be defined as art. For other people, very few minute things can even be considered art. Back when I used to paint and draw all the time and I sold artwork, I found that the things I really liked making, because they were fun to make, people who consider themselves artists did not call it art. It was art unless it had a meaning or a story behind it. To those people. Now, to the people I was selling my artwork to, my terrible bald eagle was great. They loved it, right? To them, the bald eagle was a piece of art, and they bought it and they loved it. So art and beauty are in the eye of the beholder.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, for some people, they might look at the AI, they might look at the coding and go, this is gorgeous. Other people can only see the effect it'll have on society and say this is trash. And both perspectives can be true at the same time.
I do also want to clarify something that you Michael. Okay. What?
And so you're saying you want to see more of that. Got
Okay,
it.
I'm sorry. Can I just very quickly clarify, Michael, just so you know going forward? Oh my.
And so the positive is
Okay.
people losing their jobs.
AI cannot have knowledge, and AI can only have information. Just
Yep.
to be clear.
Yep.
No,
It does not exist. AGI
cannot
does not
have
exist.
knowledge. Knowledge belongs to a
No,
person.
we're not playing it if it ever.
Okay.
It's either it does exist or it doesn't. And in the case of what you're implying, AGI does not exist. Not even fucking close. It does not exist right now. So no, I'm not playing this game of what if anymore, okay? Enough. Either you can speak in the real world using real world data points, or you can't. In which case, what are we having this conversation for in the first place? There is no AGI. There is no AGI. So, what are we talking about?
What is AGI?
Artificial General Intelligence is what you and I were talking about when we were at the restaurant.
Artificial general intelligence?
Yes, think Steven Spielberg in AI.
Oh, like like a
Yes, like a
personified
person.
kind of intelligence.
Yes,
Michael, here's
dude.
let's look at it from a different perspective. What you're talking about is something that doesn't exist. It might eventually exist, but if I was to say, well, if magic existed, every apple I touch would be gold. It's a point that is irrelevant to what currently exists.
He's talking
And
about
that's
reality.
why AGI does not matter to the conversation, because even though it might eventually exist, it currently doesn't. And currently it's as fictional as magic. Every apple I touch does not turn to gold, which is good
As
because
a
I like apples.
person, as a person who met
Hold on,
literal
thank you.
humanoid AI robots when I was in Vegas, I can tell you right now that we're not anywhere near AGI or whatever that's supposed to be. That's great, but there's a reason that they're called robots, and they're not even calling them artificial intelligence because that's not what they're designed for. No, they're robots.
Here,
They're like
let me ask you.
they're
What's the
glorified.
difference?
They are glorified Roombas with arms and legs.
You tell me what's an automaton. I'm asking you. So you don't know. Got it. So you don't know it then. Okay.
Currently, all automatons are robots.
Yes.
To answer your question.
So. Great. I don't care then. Industry leaders are going to say whatever they can in order to
Industry
get.
a lot of things though to secure funding for their
Industry
bullshit
leaders will
project.
say whatever the fuck. I was told 20 years ago when Tesla first debuted its electric car that electric cars were going to be everywhere, and more importantly that fossil fuel cars would no longer exist.
That's what I believed when I saw Minority Report.
And that's oh yeah, that's the other thing, right? Where's my flying car, huh? Industry leaders said I'd have a flying car.
Where's my fully driverless cars? How long have we been testing those?
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about driverless cars for a while now, and industry leaders told me 5 years ago that they'd be available in 2 years. What does that have to do with my point? What does it have to do with anything?
Pull out of what?
What the fuck does that have to do with what we're saying? Nothing? Great.
I don't understand, Michael, what you're even talking about without Google.
He doesn't understand what he's talking about, and he's trying to lead us like he does. Dude,
And
you're all over the fucking place.
If you loop our conversation back to what we were originally talking about, ethics in business is an illusion. If they pulled out claiming it was for ethical reasons, there was some other reason behind it, I guarantee.
100%. Why did their head of ethics leave then? Huh?
And also, what are you even talking about? I still want that question answered. What did they pull out of, Michael? Like what was the context? You want us to comment on something, but you won't give us any information to go off of. Yeah, I know. Going, you're gone. I don't think he does.
Man, you could be talking about the Saturn V rocket for all I fucking know at this point. Like, you're all over the place.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Back up. A couple people is very different. You parsed it different earlier when you said Google pulled out.
Yep.
And that's why Odin brought up the point that Michael, sometimes it drives me crazy the way you talk because you're very fast and loose with the things that you say and you don't expect to be accountable for it. You want us to meet you at your level, but you're saying things and then it turns out that the thing that we're talking about is okay. No, it's
No,
not that
it's nothing to
you're just
do.
straight up. No, you're all about misinformation, Michael. I don't care about the rabbit hole. I can deal with the rabbit hole, but you will just straight up say whatever the hell, and then when we say, well, that doesn't sound right, and you're like, oh, it's actually not a fraction of what I said. It's this whole other thing that isn't even really related to what I said. In fact, completely forget what I said. A couple people from Google pulling out over ethical concerns is a very different story than Google pulling out of something due to ethical concerns.
You're mischaracterizing the context of the points you're making. You're not using critical thinking when it comes to, you know, how things can and will be applied. You're just so caught up in the buzzwords of the technology that you truly miss the points. You can't see the forest through the trees, bud. You know, I remember when blockchain and billions of dollars were poured into the metaverse.
Probably, but that's because he's still trying to push his.
Because if the answer is no, you wouldn't question any of it, then NVIDIA, you're literally giving us NVIDIA videos to watch and say, this is the way of the future, and this is how I see it being applied, because this is what they said they want to apply it to. Buddy, I watched about a month ago Google showcasing their pre-Gemini AI. It was impressive as hell. Until you found out that it took them months to get enough clips to fill about a minute and a half worth of video and edited it to a point where it was passable in one take. When it took
Michael. It is literally Google fucking with their own internal team that is supposed to hold them accountable when it comes to AI ethics. They literally sent the leader of that team packing, and now the whole team is being restructured, end quote.
And that's nothing new. Years ago, we're talking 5 years ago, when AI was first being talked about at Google, their head scientist for AI and ethics fucking resigned along with a bunch of other people under them.
So, I mean, I am so bemused here because this is just such a perfect example of what I was talking about. You know, Michael, you bring up a point because you read a headline somewhere. You misremembered the headline because you never bothered to look into it any deeper, even reading the article the headline was associated to. And then you just tried to feed us that information as if it was real when it was the polar opposite of what actually happened. It's very frustrating, is all I'm saying.
Well, he might have felt like we were ganging up on him.
Sure.
I mean, sure. Yeah, no, I
I'm
can
not
see
gonna.
that.
Yeah, it's
I'm not
fine,
going to
but
be made to feel badly about it, though. I'm really, really
Uh,
like I
that
deal with
was
enough misinformation in the 24-hour news cycle. I don't need to be dealing with it from family members.
I
I
just
wasn't trying to make you feel bad about it. I'm just saying that, you know,
yeah.
I understand him walking off if he did.
Uh, I'm also not gonna have somebody piss on me and tell me it's raining either. Like, you
The thing
know,
I'm reminded of is you go back through time and people are always using fear as a way of selling their story, right? I
Hmm.
mean, if you go back far enough, I think it was in the 60s, they said that the Beatles were effectively the death of music and rock and roll would destroy any semblance of music.
yeah,
Sure.
Was apparently the epitome of debauchery, and nothing in music would ever be worse than that. I
yeah,
think
makes sense.
anything on MTV today is probably worse than that.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's kind of the point, right? Is that everything that we're talking about, right? It needs to be looked at with serious through a lens of skepticism. It has to be. Any new or emerging technology, you should be hypercritical of, you know, especially if it's being peddled by the people that, serve to benefit the most from it.
Yeah,
you know?
that are always trying to find ways to eliminate more jobs.
Good question.
Right? You can't just tell people, hey, this is kind of cool, and here's a few ways that it might make some things easier slash better. It's got to be that there's a whole bunch of lay people who are getting caught up in it, caught up in the hype when they're not even really the ones being marketed to. Just like with all the NFT bullshit and the blockchain bullshit, the only benefit to marketing to lay people is that you get a basically a cultural movement started, and it causes companies to want to fund shit. Just like when all the NFT and blockchain shit happened, you had Ubisoft and every other, video game developer saying that they were going to get into the NFT business, which has all but been abandoned by 99% of them at this point, because it turned
Yeah.
out it was just a fad, and it's frustrating. I was saying to Jack earlier today when we were talking about this after we left our conversation with Jerome earlier, it's frustrating because a lot of people in the creative space are genuinely worried, because it's hard enough as a creative to get paid to work already, right? It's hard
Yep.
enough to be a musician